Hello and welcome to Enter the Metaverse. My name is Ray Kallmeyer, and today I'm going to introduce you to NFTs and creating meaningful interactions with Metaverse technologies. Thank you for your patience in us getting started. Like any technology, sometimes the interoperability is where the kinks are at. So before we dive in, a brief overview. We will start with a background and then cover definitions to demystify common terms. Then we'll discuss how you plug into NFTs and the metaverse. We'll talk a bit about how you can get dirty and start creating yourself before a brief overview of the future. And if we have time, Q&A. I'm happy to stay around a little longer since we got started a little bit late. And definitely stick around for the end. There's going to be a unique invite for folks for a special project we're going to be announcing shortly. Okay, great. So let's talk about background. First off, who is this talk for? This is for folks who are metaverse or NFT curious. We'll be covering a 50,000-foot view of the technologies and notable projects and key considerations for someone entering the space. Think of this as an NFT and Metaverse 101 class. My goal here is to connect the dots and to help different ecosystems cross-pollinate ideas. We'll save deeper dives for follow-on talks in the series. Now, can you help me out really quickly? In chat, rate your level of familiarity with NFTs and metaverses 1 to 10. Let's say 1 being you've never heard of them before, and 10 being you are Ready Player One. Great. So who am I? I'm Ray, founder and CEO of Enklu. I started making games when I was 7 years old after I started playing games like SimCity at an even younger age. I spent the better part of 3 decades working in the AAA games industry, bringing together multiplayer online video games to market with companies like Sony, Kixeye, and NCSoft. In the early 2010s, the company I was working for developing a competitor to League of Legends was acquired by Tencent. And in 2016, I founded Enklu with a mission to empower creators with the new spatial computing ecosystem with the same sorts of insights and technologies which helped me on innovative multi-platform projects like Defiance and Lineage Eternal. Here's a picture of Will Wright, by the way, the creator of the Sims franchise, as he is entering the metaverse. So how does Enklu fit in? Well, Enklu serves as a bridge between creators and their audiences in the metaverse by providing commercial-grade 3D infrastructure, which powers some of the most innovative real-world metaverse applications around the globe. You can think of us as being the AWS of the metaverse. And we've been fortunate to work with both prolific artists and world-class organizations since our founding. But enough about Enklu, let's talk shop. Starting with definitions, what do all these buzzwords mean? What is the metaverse? Generally, but not necessarily, depending on who you ask, the metaverse consists of the following features: 3D, virtual reality, augmented reality, some sort of spatial component, user-generated content, allowing creators to contribute openly. It's oftenly Web3 or crypto, and then characters, avatars, or interactions. Put it to a tangible example some of you might be familiar with. In the book and movie Ready Player One, the characters don futuristic, fully immersive virtual reality headsets and are transported to a new video game-like reality, where their appearances and interactions are governed by a metaverse-like world called the Oasis. They can both choose what they look like, their avatar, and their digital personas have unique lives and friends fully separate from the real world. And if you've been paying attention to the news recently, you're probably aware that Facebook has renamed itself to Meta. And Mark Zuckerberg has declared his intention to turn Meta into a metaverse company. Some questions that immediately arise are, is this the metaverse already? And hold on, are there many metaverses, or is there just one metaverse to rule them all and bind them? Personally, I defer to Reid Hoffman's view of the metaverse in that we're already in it. Us communicating through the internet right now, problems as they might be, connecting our 3D real world selves through 2D interfaces is part of the metaverse. In fact, the metaverse is like the internet. There aren't multiple internets. There's an internet. In fact, the metaverse isn't just like the internet, it is the internet. Rebranding the internet the metaverse is more a reflection of the addition of new ways to experience it in 3D, which we'll touch on shortly. But there's no finish line. It will never arrive. We'll just add more new innovations over time and get more immersive as we go. And for the purists out there, the original definition from Neil Stephenson's classic Snow Crash is something like a decentralized, pluggable rendering simulation engine. But that doesn't really roll off the tongue. Okay, so if the metaverse is the internet, is an NFT the metaverse? Are all NFTs metaverses? Are all metaverses NFTs? No, but they do overlap quite a bit. You can think of metaverses as virtual worlds and NFTs as virtual ownership. Where they overlap is in things like rare items, deeds for virtual land or property, characters, pets, equipables, and even fashion. But what is an NFT then? Non-fungible, meaning unique or special, meaning it can't be swapped out, and token, which is essentially a number or a big old-fashioned hash string. Now, what most people would do at this point in the presentation is try to explain NFTs and how they're built to fit in on a decentralized ledger or blockchain, and how smart contracts can operate on a blockchain as a sort of virtual machine, which is a computer that no one personally owns or controls. But I'll save that for a later session and keep it pretty high level for today. The main features of NFTs are the following. Ownership. NFTs help you establish your ownership of a thing, like a piece of art, in a specific platform or protocol. They also generally give you the ability as the owner to transfer your asset or ownership without needing to consult a central company or authority. And they give you the ability to authenticate access or usage in ways that old-fashioned vanilla assets do not. What are some common use cases of NFTs? Well, inventory is one of them, giving users control over their own digital goods. Membership is another, giving owners exclusive benefits like invites to events. Smart licensing is another, automatically awarding royalties when pieces are sold and resold, and activating communities, turning users into owners, which creates shared incentives to evangelize products. In Zedrun, for example, owners can buy, race, sell, and even breed digital horses. These assets then generate value for their owners like a real horse would, and every time the market cap for Zedrun goes up, which means people invest more money, all the owners win. So you can rest assured that all the owners of Zedrun's horses want you to join the movement because you help their assets appreciate. But here's an example of how automated royalties changes industries that you might be very familiar with in the case of Tower Records and Spotify. So with Tower Records, you have high overhead per transaction. You've got to buy a CD. Artists are paid on discrete sales of units because it's difficult to track back in the day how many songs someone listened to. And there's a high barrier of entry. Individual solo creators, it's very difficult for them to enter the Tower Records market. In the case of Spotify, you have very low overhead per transaction. It's tracked with ones and zeros on a server somewhere. Artists are paid now based on the plays of their songs. So instead of having to build a whole CD, which is full of songs they might not like to release, they can focus on the singles with the content they want to actually breathe into life in the world. And there's a much lower barrier of entry. So let's look at Christie's. High overhead per transaction. Artists are paid based on discrete sales of units, very high barrier of entry. And let's look at NFT collections. Low overhead per transaction. It all happens on a server. Artists can be paid based on whatever the licensing and royalty rights they set up are. Could be discrete transactions, or it could be cascading transactions. Like every person that buys it after the first also pays out the original creator. And there's a much lower barrier of entry. Anyone can create an NFT today. But the real power here is when you combine metaverses and NFTs. Their whole is much greater than the sum of their parts. For metaverses, NFTs transform users into owners. True fans, if you will, incentivize marketers. And for NFTs, metaverses provide meaningful interactions, emotional connections, and turn your ownership into a lifestyle. So plugging in, how can one access the metaverse today? First, let's discuss the hardware. In 2021, the options for immersive hardware are immense, each with their own strengths and weaknesses. Now, I'm not going to discuss them all because that could easily take an hour alone, but I'll cover some of the important entry points. You can access the metaverse through standalone apps on your laptop or PC in games like Roblox. You can also access it through the web in 3D social games like Decentraland, in virtual reality in apps like AltSpace, and through your mobile phone in games like Pokemon Go or Adobe Aero. And finally, through smart glasses, which overlay holograms in the real world, just like Star Wars. And one last idea is that immersive entertainment venues like Meow Wolf in Santa Fe, New Mexico, Denver, or Las Vegas. How about NFTs? Where can one access NFTs in 2021? Well, NFT marketplaces allow you to create, buy, sell NFTs on a simple to use interface, hosted on the web. Each has different rules for how you can create and license your NFTs. And much like metaverse options, I couldn't possibly go over them all right now, but I'll cover a few. To start, Foundation is an exclusive NFT marketplace you can find online, but good luck getting in, it's invite only. OpenSea has some of the largest volume of trading in the world and also employs a technique called lazy minting, which reduces the total cost for creating and launching large collections of assets, making it very popular with top creators. And Rarible has some of the simplest UX to get up and running. It's a great entry point for someone just getting their feet wet. What about notable collections? What is all the fuss about? Why are we even talking about NFTs today? CryptoPunks makes up over half of the $10.2 billion market cap for all NFTs. Yep, billion with a B. And CryptoPunks makes up over 5 billion of that alone. Bored Ape owners, including celebrities, become members and get special privileges such as access to exclusive Discord servers, the bathroom, a digital area acting as a collaborative graffiti board, and club members are also rewarded with free NFTs from the same stables, which can then be resold. And you may have heard of Beeple. This is the NFT piece that sold for $69 million. But not all use cases of NFTs are artistic in nature. Altered State Machine gives evolutionary algorithms a home in the blockchain. Look it up, it's pretty cool. Physical collectibles like the wine label Hello Fan are entering the arena as well, with democratized access to both NFTs and fine wine at levels that make sense for every class of investor. And play-to-earn video games like Satoshi Quest are launching first as NFTs to build community around a game idea even before writing a line of code, to pre-validate and generate buzz for cool new projects. Now, Metaverse and NFT crossovers like this provide fans the ability to invest in their favorite pastimes and enjoy in the upside of their game success. And I'll tell you what, if I could have invested in League of Legends character 10 years ago, I'd probably be retired on a beach right now. Unfortunately, NFTs weren't a thing back when I was spending a lot of time playing. Okay, so everyone is doing it. Now you want in. Well, let's get dirty. How can you become a creator? How do you make an NFT? First, you connect the crypto wallet to your social security. Just kidding. If you want to make an NFT, it isn't nearly as hard as most of the articles or diagrams on the internet would suggest. Awesome consumer-facing platforms have emerged. Now is a great time to get started. The best approach is to search YouTube and follow along, and within 20 minutes, you can be up and running. Some high-level steps to keep in mind. You'll need to choose a marketplace for discovering and minting. You'll also need to link a wallet for payments and your ownership. You'll need to upload your art and configure your licensing. Metaverses, on the other hand, can be a bit more complicated. Modern online 3D ecosystems can range from 5-person indie teams all the way up to 500-person international teams. Before you dive in, it's important to understand what's available to you and what makes sense for your project. Tools in the metaverse space range from games like Roblox, which have built-in editors but niche audiences, to engines like Unity, which are flexible but require development teams to make the most use out of, to social media platforms like Snapland Studio, which have built-in distribution and can be managed by a solo creator, but are inflexible in their interoperability, pretty much have to stay in their garden, to creator platforms like Enklu, which have a wide distribution potential and also enable small teams to leverage tooling for greater impact. Facebook's social media platform Horizon allows creators to build virtual worlds within VR, in situ. Basically, you build in 3D and you experience in 3D. It also offers creators funding to create within its social media ecosystem. Altspace is Microsoft's social media VR offering with similar tooling. And Altspace is also the home of BlackRock City VR, or Burning Man Virtual Gathering, which began during the pandemic and continues on afterward. On the other end of the creative spectrum, Roblox Studio gives generally younger and less dusty creators simple physics-based rules and Lego brick mentality with composable pieces that can easily be joined together. The power of composable building blocks cannot be underestimated. Much like Legos, Roblox's safe and predictable rules allows major brands like Nike to create offerings within the Roblox metaverse while still capturing the magic of emergent creativity. And speaking of emergent creativity, has anyone ever heard of Minecraft? Does anyone know what this is? It's actually a fully functional computer running inside of Minecraft, built in Minecraft. Logic gates, circuits, flow control, a programmable PC, and even memory, the whole 9 yards, built with literal blocks. It's amazing what people can create when you give them simple but powerful tools and a canvas. And here's a little blast from the past. Some would say it was the first creator metaverse ecosystem. This is Warcraft 3 Edit, the editing tools which shipped with the original Warcraft 3. Long before World of Warcraft was a household name, armies of creators experimented with game mechanics, played with their creations over and over again, and refined them at each iteration. Eventually, the original Dota All-Stars was born. I could give a whole 30-minute talk about how creator ecosystems are the real driving force behind metaverse innovation. In fact, we probably will do that the next time we do one of these. But for now, suffice to say that user-generated content plus incentivized communities equals accelerated and unpredictable innovation. That's actually why I'm not speaking to you through America Online right now, even though they had a massive head start at the beginning of the internet. The open internet, on the other hand, with its cacophony of technologies and protocols, simply outcompeted it. There's so many engaged communities of developers and creatives trying out new ideas and mixing and matching solutions in new and exciting ways that AOL simply couldn't keep up. And those new and exciting ways, sometimes they're kind of brute force. DevOps jokes. So let's start off with a very simple question that hides a lot of complexity. What do you show users in a metaverse? In a 2D app like the screen you're watching this through, It's not that hard of a problem to solve. You render the windows from front to back in the order they show up on your screen. Pretty intuitive. But in the metaverse in 3D, this is not the case. Every user is their own cinematic director. They can look up, left, down, right. Sometimes users can see the same thing. Sometimes users see different things as users nearby. Like in games like League of Legends, where there's a fog of war. I'm going to gloss over a lot really quickly and leave it for another opportunity for future talk about client complexity, but suffice it to say there's a rendering engine which figures most of this stuff out, and it needs to be very fast. Modern video games aim to run at 60 frames per second, and modern VR AR games often push it even further, running at 240 times per second to make sure those holograms or virtual pieces of content stick to where they should be in the real world as your head moves around. That doesn't leave as much time for your application code, which means things need to be very optimized. So another question is, who decides what is right in a metaverse? And it sounds like a loaded question, but in truth, it's important when we're talking about simulating dynamic worlds. Hacks in video games like Call of Duty generally occur because someone found a loophole in the way the networking code transmits data or resolves disagreements. This is annoying in a game, but imagine your commercial metaverse. It could be as bad as Facebook letting Cambridge Analytica harvest 87 million people's data. Whoopsie. Fortunately for game engines, these are not new problems. And online game architects have found ways to ensure data security for specific game types for decades. Suffice it to say that if you're going to launch a metaverse, you don't need to start from scratch. Unity is by far the most widely used game engine in the world, with over 2 billion monthly active users and 1.5 million monthly active creators. Unity gives designers much more freedom in the architecture and visual style than games like Roblox and Minecraft, ranging from photorealistic like you see here to stylized looks. It all comes with a robust online marketplace filled with content which you can use to jumpstart your project. However, with Unity, you'll need to learn to code in C# or have someone on your team who can in order to make even the most basic application. The real value of Unity is in its extendability, supporting a wide variety of hardware and software platforms and allowing users to add custom editor tools. Unity has standard solutions for networking, animation, physics, you name it, someone has built it. Valve's Source engine is behind Half-Life and Dota 2, and powered the first mainstream microtransaction marketplace in Team Fortress. I like that Valve uses their own engine to build their games. It's a clear eating their own dog food mentality, which shows in the robustness of their systems. Unreal Engine by Epic Games has long been the industry gold standard for high-quality, artist-friendly tools and visual fidelity. Their MetaHumans feature, for example, sets a new bar in real-time virtual human rendering. They are also famous for their Blueprints visual scripting system, which enables non-technical users to configure visual properties and even interactive behaviors without coding. If you have a 3D savvy development team, Unreal is definitely worth considering, especially because they offer an Unreal grant funding for successful projects who wish to port to Unreal. And Niantic's recently announced Lightship SDK gives mobile developers the ability to craft metaverses on top of the real world, just like Pokemon Go. This solves many of the hard problems related to computer vision and multiplayer content distribution. Niantic is also offering funding for projects which utilize their platform. And then there are metaverse cloud platforms like Enklu, which operates much like the AWS of the metaverse, bridging multiple hardware ecosystems with a simple and powerful multiplayer content distribution network. In Enklu, designers develop, manage, and operate 3D applications. Designers upload 3D assets and build interactions with our low-code editor and distribute to a wide variety of endpoints with Enklu and Unity web integration. Enklu syncs content to users and collaborators anywhere in the world in real time, which people can then experience in the PC, Mac, mobile, web, and AR, VR devices. So let's say you have a great idea for a metaverse and you know what tools to use. What's next? Well, building and animating interactive NFTs and metaverses can be every bit as complex as rendering 3D movies like Pixar does, with multiple stages and distinct roles with unique strengths at every piece. Unlike movies, however, in interactive metaverses, users can choose their own adventure, which adds a whole new dimension of complexity to the development and launch process. Interactive real-time software development is one of the most iterative processes done in the world by humans right now, which is one of the reasons why we love doing it at Enklu. But we can still break things up into stages to help align stakeholders and arrive at a result that users love. Case in point, when Freshwater, a creative agency, wanted to showcase the power of 5G for Sprint at Mobile World Congress, 3-day event in LA, they knew they needed to iterate quickly on site as they were building out physical props. Working with Enklu, we helped them from initial concept all the way through successful event production with our guidance and real-time platform support. They popped up and distributed content to hundreds of headsets in less than an hour and supported thousands of multiplayer users as they explored a collaborative city of the future. Built on top of a Unity rendering engine with the HoloLens headset providing guests a real-world metaverse experience, Enklu provided the authoring and distribution network, and Sprint became the talk of the show, which highlights a major consideration for any NFT metaverse: interoperability. Where can your content be accessed? Are you building on top of a walled-off garden, or are you building on a community of connected creators? So let's bring it all together. A review of some of the key considerations. So you'd like to bring your NFTs into the metaverse. What platforms do you want to support? Where do your owners play today? What trends do you want to stay ahead of? And what partnerships can help your project grow? Where are the most meaningful interactions with your NFTs? Is it intrinsic value, as in art? We see it together and create a shared memory. Is it interaction value, like games or sports? We play it together and compete and collaborate together. Or is it social value, like fashion? You and me see as I want and you want to be seen. What resources do you have at your disposal? Do you already have a team of creators? Well, what are you waiting for? Do you have a budget and an idea? You could find an agency or an external developer to help out. Are you familiar with an artist, a designer, or builder process yourself? Are you a creator? Well, you can find a team and start a project. Or can you build a community or raise capital for a project? Well, tell the biggest story you can and convert people to your cause. And finally, is your metaverse future-proof? Are your NFTs better when experienced with friends? Is your metaverse multiplayer? How does your metaverse connect with other ecosystems? And how will your creators collaborate? Finally, how will your technology choices empower your creators? As a final example, I'll highlight the Unreal Garden, an immersive AR metaverse which has generated over $1 million in ticket sales and hundreds of thousands of guests. Currently operating in San Francisco and soon to be additional locations around the world. The Unreal Garden features artwork by 7 prolific artists and NFT creators, including Android Jones, Scott Musgrove, Schuster Mosley, and more. None of them actually visited the initial public location before launch, which meant that to provide tools which enabled remote collaboration, that was absolutely critical for the success of the product. Unfortunately, Enklu was built to enable creators to collaborate on virtual and augmented reality metaverses in real time from all over the world. Just like Google Docs, when you upload your creations and share incredible virtual worlds, people can start to iterate and create things you couldn't have possibly anticipated when you initially set out. Enklu supports not only mobile, web, PC, VR, and HoloLens, but interactive display screens as well. If you're interested in learning a little bit more about Enklu and the work we do with NFT creators and companies, large and small, entering the metaverse, visit our website or contact me directly to accelerate your immersive Web3 journey. But let's end with some closing thoughts on the future. First, is there an NFT bubble? Maybe. This is not investment advice, but a question. Would you still buy something if you didn't think you could sell it to someone without the hype train? I personally invest when I believe there is real value add and strong fundamentals. What's up with Meta? 6 million Quest units shipped, comparable with a home console like PlayStation. They rebranded Meta to become a metaverse company, and they're pouring $10 billion per year into developing a host of technologies, software and hardware to enable the metaverse. They're going toe-to-toe with Apple as a primary platform competitor. And what's up with Apple? They've got ARKit hiding their plans in plain sight for years. Their rumored pass-through VR device, which could act as a home AR VR device, is rumored to launch in 2022. They've also been in the news recently for an epic lawsuit with another prolific creator who had problems with the way they're building their walled-off garden and charging your creators for it. So you have to wonder, what is the future of the metaverse going to look like? Who will be the gatekeepers of the open internet? How will their choices affect us as individuals and even societies? And who gets a seat at the table when deciding these things? How many NFT formats, platforms will remain in 5 years, 15 years? And what does a browser look like in a 3D metaverse? What new value-add applications have people yet to dream up in the metaverse and NFT land?